Year 6, this is your English lesson for Wednesday the 10th of February. So I think we need a little bit more information, a little bit more knowledge about what to do in a first aid situation. So this is talking about how you may be able to react if you are in a first aid emergency. So what would you do if you saw this situation? So have a little look. Oh, I'll get it to work properly. There we go. So you've got somebody injured on a playground there, lying there holding their leg, obviously in a lot of pain. It's obviously quite a serious injury. And then you've got an adult collapsed at home. So obviously very dramatic situations there. What would you do in these situations? Well, in the first one, you might go and get an adult. But what about in the second one, if there wasn't another adult, if you were the only person there? So why first aid can be critical. It can really save lives. What would you do? Would you do anything at all? Would you be too scared? Well, I'd be scared, even as an adult. Would you know what to do? You can't talk to your partner, but if you can talk to somebody in your house, or just talk to me on the video, pause the video and say what you would do. Maybe you've been in a first aid situation before, and then you can tell me in the Zoom meetings what you did. Maybe you've acted in a really brave way. There are children that have saved adults' lives before, knowing some basic first aid. It's very important. So, anyone can be a first aider. These lessons will hopefully help you to learn some of the important skills that you can give to an injured person who needs first aid, because obviously it's all about injuries. The role of the first aider is to keep yourself calm and keep the casualty safe. So the word casualty is the person who is injured and needs help. Your other roles are to stop anyone from getting any further injuries, to quickly and safely treat any injuries, and to get help from the emergency services if needed. So in your first aid guide, those are the key things that you need to communicate, the best way to act in a first aid emergency. Okay, so we have one of these in school, don't we? First aid kit in school, we use it for minor injuries. We've used it to help you with things before. You might feel nervous about doing first aid, but here are some important things to remember. So you could have a top tips box in your report where you say, stay calm, stay safe, keep talking to the casualty. You don't want the casualty to lose consciousness and you want them to stay calm as well. And obviously if you've got an injury and you're in pain, you might panic. Call 999 or 112 if it is an emergency, and all you can do is your best. Okay, and it is always better to do something small than nothing at all. So even if you just go and get help, that could be a critical thing. Okay. Staying safe. How can we stay safe? The most important thing in any first aid situation is to stay safe. Who do you think is the most important person to keep safe? It's an interesting question, isn't it, Year 6? What do you think? It's you, because you're the one that's going to be able to make a difference and keep that casualty safe. Okay? It's like if you've ever been on a flight and they always say to the adults they need to put their oxygen mask on first before they then help a child. Because obviously if you're the one in charge, if you're the one helping, you need to be safe. If you get hurt, there's no one else there to help possibly. And there in the picture, there's someone treating a burn. Okay, they're trying to cool a burn in that picture, wearing gloves. Okay, so this would be a very dramatic emergency. You would have needed to have got help. But if you go running in, something might be sharp, something might be hot. That one, you definitely need to get help. Okay, but this is a good example of checking the area for any other danger. Okay. Let's have a look at this picture. Which things here do you think could be harmful? So this is a really good example of surveying the area for danger, which is what we talked about before. Using your senses to help you. Can you see anything harmful? Can you hear anything dangerous? Can you smell anything that might be poisonous? Looking around you for any danger in a first aid situation is critical. Staying calm, we've talked about. It's easier said than done in situations, isn't it? If you see blood or if you see a terrible injury, it's really difficult not to panic and you may feel upset. The best way to stay calm is to take slow, deep breaths. Keep yourself calm. Once the treatment is finished, you may feel really happy and proud, but you might feel confused or angry or upset. If we see something traumatic, we quite often have a lot of feelings afterwards. So that's something that you could put into your guide to help somebody that's been in a first aid emergency. They feel those feelings afterwards. Obviously you need to talk to somebody. It's completely normal to have those feelings, we all do. Talking to an adult that you trust could really help, and that's the same with any situation where you feel upset or sad, Year 6. Okay, all the time that you're working with your casualty, you need to talk to them. Really important that you keep them conscious. They may be upset themselves or confused. So explain to them what you're doing all the way through. If you see on the St John's ambulance videos, they talk all the way through to the casualty. Tell them what they're doing. What are they doing to help? Okay? So there's lots of things here that we can put in a top tips box. Okay, so let's go back to my report then over here. That was all very, very useful. So I think I'm going to put a box down here with some top tips. I've got a warnings box. What about if I put a top tips box here? What were the most important things? Can you remember year 6? Top tips. I think it was stay calm, wasn't it? Really, really important. Talk to your casualty. Tell them what you are doing. Okay, any other top tips from the video? Stay safe. You have to make sure that you are safe so that you can actually complete the treatment. So you need to survey the area for danger. If you have feelings after the event, I'm going to put this in capitals, talk to someone. Okay, and that was incredibly important, wasn't it? So I've used bullet points there, I've got my top tips. You could use colour, you could draw your top tips boxes, you could do some of them in a triangle, definitely add some pictures of your own. Let's go back then to how we treat our casualty. Let's write the next section because I'm wanting you to have some top tips boxes as well, some different things to remember all the way through, but I haven't actually talked about how I treat my casualty yet with the major bleed. Okay, so first of all, if there is any clothing around the wound, comma, safely remove it. However, if there is an object in the wound, oh dear, my writing's been a bit messy today, sorry, year 6. If there is an object in the wound, I'm going to put this in capital letters, do not remove it. It may be acting as a plug. And I've said that already in my top tips, or my warning, sorry. It may be acting as a plug to stop the bleeding. So I've told the reader why. If you remove something from a cut, you might make the bleeding worse, okay? Instead, push the edges of the wound together. Okay, if there is no object in the wound, apply direct pressure. So I've got an imperative verb there. So this is where you're going to press down and try to stop the bleeding, okay? If the casualty, I've got lots of ifs here, if the casualty or patient is conscious, you may ask them to do it. And you see that in the videos. Okay, and the final part that you need to do is you need to actually work out how to apply the dressing. But I think we'll do the next section of the report tomorrow. Okay, so get as much written as you can, year 6, about your different injury. Okay, tell us how you can treat your casualty, and then I'll do my final part of applying the dressing tomorrow. Okay, good luck.